ADHD is awesome. A book by Kim and Penn Holderness. It is actually a book talking about not something on a stigma point of view or something. Instead, they are approaching on a practical aspect. So ADHD is normally considered as something like lazy, boredom and all. It is actually a neurobiological condition. And first of all, this ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That word itself not properly. Attention is not deficit actually. There is too much attention and we don't know where to attention. And hyperactivity, and last one, disorder. We cannot call it a disorder. It is something like an extreme form of a normal trait. ADHD have its weakness, like focusing on something, and will be more impulsive to something emotional and all. Will be restless. That's all there. But along with that, ADHD will make you more creative, more efficient in problem solving. It's something like you have a Ferrari engine with a bicycle brakes. It is mostly involuntary. You are not voluntarily doing. And ADHD is a spectrum disorder. What it means is that you cannot see it clearly. It varies between the person to person. And most of the people who have ADHD, maybe they'll be immensely successful and this one will be hidden somewhere. They don't see themselves, they have this. So how to diagnose ADHD? To look at the behavioral symptoms like hyperactivity, inattention, impulsivity for at least 6 months period. All that is happening in ADHD is because of the frontal lobe, and that frontal lobe of an ADHD person is smaller. Because of that smaller thing, it has part and parcel have lot of impacts. That's all contributing to the ADHD. So as I mentioned, brain differences, prefrontal cortex is smaller, and there is low activity in the prefrontal cortex, so low slow wave activity. And the result of is that you have struggle in focusing, concentration, impulse control, attention, or activity level. All these things is affected and you will feel more drowsy and lazy because of this reason. And dopamine. Dopamine is the neurochemical or a pleasure chemical, you call it, whatever it is. That is less in the ADHD brain. So low level of dopamine means you have less interest in doing. Or in another way, you are struggling to gain interest to do something. So you are getting bored. That's the point. So one way to tackle it is to just split your work into multiple short terms. So making it and also rewarding or appreciating yourself for small things. So that reward and appreciation will be used as a body to create some dopamine. So you have to trick your body because naturally it is creating less dopamine and you are less interested on many things. And hyperfocus. Also because of this low dopamine level, you are trying to cope up with that and trying to be focused on one thing in a too much high bandwidth to gain some interest. Because as I mentioned, the problem is not a deficit of attention. It is something like it have attention to a lot of things. So if you reduce the things it has attention to, that way you can concentrate on something. So emotional impact, as I mentioned, for ADHD person, emotional impact will be outbursting like that. It will be just flooding and that reasoning will be replaced by emotions. They are not having a time to just reason. The brain will just flood that emotion with very high intensity and you will think what's really happening. Also, another important is to change the narrative of this ADHD to yourself and to the people around. Therapy is one way of doing it. But in another way, if there is a talk therapy or accommodation or behavioral accommodation or behavioral training, that will be more helpful than the training part as well. Also, such treatments will take time. So implementing one change at a time rather than doing it all together is the best way. And motivation. Motivation is actually one of the best medicine for ADHD. As we mentioned, because of this small prefrontal cortex and low level of dopamine, if you have a reward and motivation, you make it some way like immediate, chosen and tailored for you. So that way, for every small things, you give yourself some reward in a manageable way that will allow you to motivate yourself. 6 elements for maintaining control. First one, exercise. As we know, the ADHD have a low level of dopamine, and exercise or doing exercise will actually increase the dopamine level and neurochemicals. So that way you can increase your body and somehow you can rejuvenate your brain as well. One way of doing it. Another way is sleep. Sleep is actually make your brain more compassionate, or it will allow itself to recover, and it will be more relaxed. Like if you have a sleep deprived night and you go in the morning, you already have that sleep deprivation effect of in the brain, and then you are having this ADHD challenges. It will be more difficult. Instead, if you have a very good sleep, that makes very different. And another thing is about nutrition. Providing good food that is best for your brain. If you select in that way, that will be also helpful for the ADHD brain. And finally, something about self-compassion. Okay, you can be compassionate and empathetic about other person, but same way, if you be more compassionate with yourself, your limitations and your strengths, that kindness towards your body. Like if you're stressing yourself, just be kind and compassionate with your body and let it relax. That's the point. So mastering your daily routine with ADHD. So first of all, one way is to understand where ADHD is disrupting your daily routine and try to attend one goal at a time. And understand your daily rhythms. Like you will be able to understand which part of the day you are most productive. Based on that, you adjust your work and life around that level of your brain activity. Then you can be more productive and more adaptive and more ADHD friendly, and you can achieve more out of it. Write it down. So writing written reminders, like for example, if you have a difficulty in focusing a lot of things, put a notebook around you and write the things which you have to do. Then focus on one at a time, each of them, and crossing it. Prioritizing the unfun task. Like suppose you have a lot of tasks to do in a day. Prioritize the less interesting one first, so that your brain will be more effort. Then whatever is interested in, put it for the last. So that way, your brain will somehow adapt to the change in the interest and all. Controlling your environment. So because of the ADHD person, you should have some level of distraction-free environment. You have to secure your perimeter. So whenever you are working or whatever you are doing, focus thing, try to make yourself in a secure environment. That will help you. And get comfortable. Wherever you are working, that space should allow you to be comfortable and relaxing. That's important. And another thing is about using some instrumental musics or such things on a background that will take you to a rhythm, or that will make you feel more comfortable in the space. Mind maps, instead of making tables and notes, mind maps, if you learn mind mapping and all, you can use colored thing. That is more brain friendly than normal tabular forms and all. So try to incorporate such things as much as possible to make it more brain friendly. So strategies for completing tasks. So naturally for ADHD person, they will have struggle focusing, struggle in completing the task and all. So first of all, try to find the meaning of the task. Try to see why you are doing that. That meaning or that essence of meaning will motivate you to do that things. So that's first part of the thing. Second way, you have to break down those tasks into manageable steps. Then start with what is working. There are a lot of things because of ADHD, it's not working for you. But start with your strengths in completing the task and then work on what is weakness. That's another way of doing it. Then another thing about taking care of yourself. So one way to do it is to make some secret contract and routines. I'll go one by one. Secret contract is something like you are defining a rule for yourself. Okay, I will not do this. I will not do that. You're having a rule in yourself so that when there is a question coming whether I should do or not, then that rule will apply. Another way is about routines. Routine is some way like a more brain-friendly way. Like if you brush or shaving, lot of things, if you make it as a routine, then your brain have less work on it. It is already having a learning out of it. Try to make lot of things as much as possible routine for you. That's somehow the conclusion of the book. Thank you for watching. If you found this summary helpful, please feel free to follow us. And also please check out, we have a couple of other ADHD books as well in our channel. Feel free to check it out as well. Until we come across with the next book, bye for now. Thank you.